So I thought today I'd finally win some money, and I didn't. Frustrating. I hate when you're running good and you're in a good table and there's lots of action and they have must move and they make you fucking move. And I should have just left. I was up 300 and I ended up losing 300. And right now I'm going broke playing poker, basically. But I don't know what else to do. I'm trying to find another engineering job, but I digress. Basically, I turn around and it's one of my things I need to remember, and a couple of things that I don't know why I've done some dumb things. Number one, bottom two pair is garbage. Just fold it. You don't want to get involved because you can hit a boat, which I did not long ago, and you're no good. And, if it comes 10-9 deuce and you got, let's say you have queen jack, or jack 10-9 deuce or something in your hand you would play, maybe, and, bottom two, and you're like, bet call. I'm like, I had queen jack 9 deuce, okay, I have open ender with bottom two, okay, I call, but there's a flush draw out there, and if you think about it, there's not a lot of good turn cards for me, because clubs are not good for me. Yes, I can hit my open ender, and I'm on the top end of it, but turn comes a 9, then I'm like, all right, woohoo, you're not 9's full. Well, you might not be good, because the initial better could easily have top set or top two. And, I made a boat, shoved my money in, and then, I have top set is 10's full, That's why you don't play bottom two. Bottom two is garbage in PLO, especially when everyone's seeing the flop. Number one lesson. Keep that in the back of my head. Do not even mess with bottom two in PLO, especially multi-way. Number two, don't call with backdoors. If you only have backdoors, especially with 3 people in there, I don't know what I was thinking. It was a cheap price. It's a guy who bluffs a lot. And so it was like queen 7 deuce, rainbow. And it gets checked to him. And I have 9-9-8-6 double suited. So it was a decent hand to start with pre-flop. And for some reason I called the flop. He bet, another guy called. Now I thought the guy on the button was full of shit, and if I found out he was. But when there's a caller in there, just fold. What am I doing calling? Even though it was a great price, he bet like less than half pot. But the turn gave me an open ender. An 8 came on the turn. So any 9, I'm sure a 9's good. And I got my open ender. So I got 8, 9, 10 outs. And guy checks to me. So I bet, and I kind of like to bet on the turn. Although this guy, keep in mind, if a lot of guys check call and slow play in PLO, which you never should, by the way. But keep in mind those guys that slow play, because check. This is easily a hand. If I think he's weak enough, I guess I don't mind my stab on the turn. But into 2 people, little questionable. So anyway, I bet in the turn. The guy on the button, of course, snap folded. So I was right. He didn't have shit. But the other guy called. So he's in there. Now I'm in, I should really be done with a hand. If he's calling 125, close to a full-size pot bet on the turn, I'm thinking that, I know he's got a queen, but the fact that he checked and then was checked, I don't know what to do, and then called, I think it's just an acting job, or I don't know what he's scared of, because I probably would not just check call a small bet with a set of 7. So my story doesn't make a lot of sense. I got to go through my story. Make sure your stories make sense. Point number 2. Make sure your stories make sense. Because if you go through it, it doesn't make a lot of sense that I would turn around and play it like a set like this, tricky or something like that. So the river, of course, with my luck, bricked out. I was running pretty good at the one table, but that was the first time I ran good in forever. Of course, this new table was awful. So he checks in the dark, comes to me, and I feel like if he's only got a queen, I can bluff him off a queen. But the thing I have to keep in mind is if I bluff, I have to go all in. I cannot just bet another 125, which is what I did. Thinking I could get him off a queen, thinking if he had like a draw, I could get him off a draw. Sometimes it makes sense to bet like a small third pot size bet to try to get like a draw to fold, but Maybe I could get a queen to fold is what I was hoping. But anyway, I make sure when you're bluffing, though, against people that don't fold, make sure that the story makes sense as far as on the river, what could I have here? If I don't have a set, what could I really have here? And if an obvious flush comes in or an obvious straight comes in, that's a good time to bluff. Make sure, when something obvious comes in, like if the river was another straightening card that didn't give me my straight. Let's say it was a 6 or something. Then I can go all in and I can credibly rep that I was, betting a straight draw and I got there on the river or something like that. But the more I think about it, I just do not like my bet on the river because he's probably calling with most of his hands. He's got at least a queen. He's got something. My pocket nines actually have good showdown value if he's only got like a draw. So I do have something. I have a pair of nines. So I was kind of trying to get him to fold a pair of queens, but I don't think he might have folded a pair of queens, but it's just weird because he didn't even want to play the hand. He just check called and played it so passive all the way. And come to find out, he had top 2 pair. He had queen 8. So he called with top pair, which makes sense. He turned top 2, and I don't blame him for calling the whole way. I just think it was weird the fact that when a straight draw comes on the turn, you got top 2. There's nothing to be afraid of besides sets, maybe a set of 7s. Why are you checking again? I don't know. And I'll have to turn around and see what maybe the GTO play is on that. But, yeah, my river bet, I don't think I should have pulled that river bluff off. That was way too optimistic, I think, on the river. On the turn, do I just want to probably take a free card instead of betting there? Good question. Sometimes I turn around and see like a big, like I had a straight draw with a pair, and I'm thinking, okay, I got 10 outs. This is a good bluffing spot when everyone's feigning weakness. But I don't know. I guess people that don't fold, that's the problem. When you play in these low-level games that people can hardly spell PLO, should I even be messing around? Because people are just like check, call. Should I even be trying to bluff? I feel like I shouldn't be because nobody folds. Every time I try to run a bluff, nobody fucking folds. So if nobody folds ever, and there's a lot of check calling, you got to realize what kind of game you're in. And I probably should have. At first, I thought I liked my bluff on the turn, but the more I think about it, maybe I just should have taken the free card and checked it down and saved myself, $300 I bluffed off. So that's it. I just want to kind of go through a couple things. Number 1, don't play bottom 2. Number 2, make sure your lines make sense, your story makes sense. Go back through the whole thing before deciding to bluff the river. Think about what he's calling with. Think about whether or not it's a type of player that would fold. And if you're gonna bluff in these low-level games, you gotta jam all in. And number 3 is make sure that the river is a really scary card. If the if he calls a lot on the turn and the river's a blank, if you just bet a third pot, he's probably not folding anything because the river didn't really change anything. So, yeah. If the river doesn't change anything, that means I had to have something strong on the flop, on the turn. And do I really have something strong on the turn? No, I really don't. So what am I trying to get him to fold? Just a queen? I might be too optimistic to get people like him to fold the queen, even just if he just has a queen. So I should just give up at that point and not even try bluffing. That's it. Thanks, guys. Hopefully this was a little helpful.